Welcome to Spirits Are Talking, hosted by Lisa Silverman. Join us every Tuesday night for live on-air psychic medium readings, crystal energy healings, oracle card readings, chakra balancing, and so much more. Host Lisa Silverman is a natural-born intuitive, psychic, medium, and spiritual life coach, working professionally in the metaphysical healing arts since 2015. Lisa communicates with loved ones and pets that have passed on for emotional healing and answers. Not to mention, she is an established interior designer since 2009, focusing on feng shui, modern design, and house healings by creating a harmonious energy flow for her clients. Now, your host of Spirits Are Talking, Lisa Silverman.
Hi, welcome to Spirits Are Talking. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. I know you could be anywhere in the world. I'm going to turn on the comments, and you chose to be with me, which I so appreciate. I'm so grateful. Whether you're listening live or on a replay, I'm so grateful because people want to hear, people want to know, and I want to share. And it's so interesting. I pulled the card for myself right before 10 minutes ago. What do I need to know for my highest good tonight? And it was exchanging gifts. And so that's what mediumship is for me, is exchanging gifts. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me. And anyway, I couldn't make it last week. I was very ill, and I feel so much better now. Amazing. So again, I want to thank you so much for being with me. And like I said, you could be anywhere in the world listening at any time, and you choose to spend your time currency with me. So thank you so much. It's just me tonight, and I wanted to talk about reincarnation and past life regressions, because reincarnation, people say, well, what really is reincarnation? And reincarnation is when the soul, which is seen as an eternal being, is when the soul that's an eternal being has the spiritual realm, returns to the physical realms in a new body. A soul will complete its cycle many times, learning lessons over and over again. That's why we have to come back. And why we have to come back is because we're ending some karma. Okay, so reincarnation is when you've had many lifetimes, travel with different people, familiar souls, and recognize in this lifetime things that have happened before. Some people, which I find kind of hard to believe, think we only have one lifetime and that's it. We get one shot and that's it. Well, the truth for me, and I've known this since I was a little girl, and I'll explain that in a minute, and I'm going to share my reincarnation stories and my past life regression stories and encourage you to look into it for yourself and give it some food for thought. But what I know to be true is that we've lived many lifetimes. And when you walk into a room and you're like, wow, this room feels so familiar, or this hotel feels familiar, or this town feels familiar. And you could be around the world and have never been there before, but there's an energy that is familiar. The chances are that you've lived there, visited, or been there before, like 1,000%. The déjà vu, wow, I feel like this happened before. Energy, is multidimensional. So déjà vus could have happened like 3 days before, and then you relive it, or a year before. You're like, oh, that's I've done this before, having a déjà vu. It's kind of interesting. Anybody have a reincarnation experience? We're gonna talk about mine, and then we're gonna bring up some people. Thank you so much. People are excited to be here. I'm so glad you're with me. So what is regression? Like past life regression? I know you've heard of it. So it's reincarnation, which is where you've been in a body numerous times and pass away and then come back in a body. Past life regression is a hypnotherapy type session where you're put under in like a little twilight And with your own mind, there's no medication involved, at least what I've done. And then you're recalled to see where you've been, what your family was like, what the love was like, what lessons you learned. And all those lifetimes stack up to bring you right into this present moment today, good, bad, or indifferent. That's what happens. So that's my experience. Everyone has a different viewpoint and they're all good. I just know that there's no way that we don't come back again. I know that for sure. So I want to tell you about my first experience with reincarnation and past life regression. So when I was about 16 years old, and I may have shared this story before, I grew up with a very progressive mom who was very woo-woo, very metaphysical. So was her mom and my great-grandmother. And so my mom decided to have this very cool experience at our house growing up. So they moved all the furniture, 20 people showed up, and we were laying all over the place. And I was 16, okay, in the 70s. So there you go. So it was kind of funny because I was like, okay, I'm up for anything. I knew I was spiritual. I knew that I had a connection, and I knew that it would be interesting. So we get all the furniture. I'm laying on one of the love seats somewhere, and this woman comes, and her name was Helen Wambach. You can check her out, Google her. She was the founder, and if you will, I don't even know, of past life regressions. She discovered it. I think she's one of the first people to ever put someone through a past life regression, and her voice was bellowing through the house. She was like, hello, my name is Helen Wambach. Welcome. And then it just was magical. It was 2 weeks for 2 hours or 2.5 hours of just absolute incredible enchantment. And I was all in. So what happened to me was what she asked. So in that experience when I was 16 during those 2 different sessions was I had 3 past life experiences, which I'll share. And then I was able to see the birth of this lifetime and how I felt. And I was able to feel the in-between worlds before coming into this body that I have now. So the first lifetime was so interesting because she just said, okay, close your eyes. We do all this breathing and relaxing and everything. And everyone's just, like I said, laying all over the floor, all over the house. And her voice was so bellowing that it was captivating and it was hypnotizing. And so it didn't take me long to follow her prompts. And the prompts were like this. Notice your feet. Look at your feet. Are you wearing shoes? Are you not wearing shoes? Are you on grass? Are you on sand? Notice your feet. And then she had you look at your body and your skin and then your clothes and how do you feel? And are you a boy or a girl? Or are you young? Are you old? And what's interesting about when you're having a past life regression is that you can just tap in at any age. You don't just tap in at, birth and then live through the whole life. You can tap in at any age. And then you often, at least for me, every past life regression that I've had, and I've had a few, probably 10, I always saw the way I passed. And that's important. Usually you will see how you lived and how you died. But the most important thing is how you felt in that life. So anyway, she asked me this. And for me, I'm just going to share with you so I don't take up all the time. But I'm going to share. She asked these prompted questions. Like I said, look at your feet. Where are you? Look at your surroundings. So I tapped in my 20s. I was a young mother. I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. They were super blonde. Okay. I had a gorgeous husband. I lived in Washington State. This is way more vivid than any dream I've ever had. Okay. Or channeling session. And I've had a lot of those. I lived in Washington State. I had farm and land, and I had horses, and I wore my money and my belongings in a round pouch on the side of my left hip. And I had long blonde hair as well. We exchanged, eggs, and we had berries, and it was just such a beautiful, simple life. And it was like in a village, and it was in Washington State. Well, I've never really spent any time in Washington State much, so except for Seattle. So it was like, this is interesting. So when I saw my husband in that lifetime show up on this horse, and I was like, wow, he is so handsome, and this energy is so incredible. It was just this beautiful, loving, kind, harmonious relationship. Fast forward through that lifetime, and I watched how I passed away. And I was well into my 80s. It felt like it, maybe late 70s back then. And both my children were grown and my grandchildren were there. And I was in my bed, and I remember being in these lavender colored sheets, and they were this thick, gorgeous cotton in lavender. And if I could feel the sheets, I could feel them right now. If there was 1,000 swatches of sheets, I would be able to pick the sheet that I was in. And I just had my family around me, and I went to the other side with one breath, and it was so beautiful and easy. Another lifetime that in that session was, which was very interesting, is that I was a Native American young mother again with long jet black hair, and we lived in like a teepee or some type of a tent on the side of a river. And I had three small children, and my husband was the gatherer and the hunter and everything. And then that was a short lifetime because I died. We all died. Actually, it was very tragic in a teepee fire. So, which was a lot of smoke. I remember the smoke and everything. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And it was super tragic that all our souls, left at the same time. Then the other lifetime that I experienced with her, Helen Wambach, which I really want you to Google her because she was so incredible, was I was an African boy, and I was 13, and it was like, I was literally in Africa, and I looked down at my feet and they were dusty. And then I looked at my legs, and I knew that they were like boy legs, and my skin was dark, African, and that I had these tribal things on, and it was so ceremonial, and there was drumming circles going on. And there was like, I was like coming of age in that lifetime. It was very interesting. And then there was sacrifices being made. And, I died very young there in a tragic, basically tribal conflict. I don't know what else to say, but I died before I was like 18. And the experience of being in the tribe and with the sacrifices and the rituals and the drumming. I love drumming. I love Native American things. So all those things that I love through past life regressions have made a lot of sense. Any questions so far, or comments, or WTFs, or whatever? Because I'm going to keep going about reincarnation with someone that in this lifetime. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with me. So definitely check out Helen Wambach. It was so interesting because when I was fast forward, that was when I was 16. When I was 12, I'm going to just talk about it. I'm not going to lie. When I was 12, this boy, super cute boy, came to my middle school. Okay. So I was in 7th grade. And the minute I saw him, I said, oh, he's going to be my boyfriend. I am like, that guy is for me. And he became my boyfriend, and then he kissed some other girl, and then he broke my heart in 8th grade. And then I said, screw you. And then I ran into him again when I was about 18, and he, chased me for a couple of years. I'm like, no, you're a jerk. No way. Anyway, he ended up catching me. And one day we were sitting on the couch talking, and he courted me for a while, and he was definitely familiar. And so we're sitting on the couch drinking a beer one day, and I looked at him, and the way he looked at me was exactly like the guy in my past life regression that I had a few years prior. And it was so startling that I said, wow, you're not going to believe this, but I think you were my husband in a past life. And he was like, oh, I definitely believe that. And he definitely was. He was my first love when I was 20. He adored me. I still will always have a special place for him. He was an absolute soulmate. There's no doubt in his mind that we were together before and we'll be together again. You know, that's that song, I've loved you for 1,000 years and I'll love you for 1,000 more. That's what happens also with soulmates and love connections that you've had in past lives. And it's very interesting, I think, that I recognized his energy and this look, and it was 100% him. Any questions? Okay, I want to talk about recognizing someone from a past life. And the other thing I want to talk about is my experience when I went to Greece. When I was 18, I went to Europe, and I was fascinated by the buildings in Italy and the architecture of, you know, France and the Eiffel Tower and so many beautiful things. But it wasn't until I went to Greece, which was in Athens, the Acropolis, that I was like, wow, I have been here before. I know it. I must have been a Greek goddess. I could see literally the feathers being fanned on me. I took my shoes off. I walked in the dirt. I looked out at the Acropolis going, this is like, was my home or where I went to events. It was just so familiar. I was so captivated by it. I didn't understand. The connection was so deep. I knew then that I had to have lived here before. And I know I was definitely in Europe before as a Greek god, for sure. Excuse me. Anybody have any questions about reincarnation? Do you believe it's real? Anybody have any questions? You want to say anything? Comments? Because then I'm going to talk about the birth of this life. So like I mentioned before with Helen Wambach, we went through 3 past life regressions. Everyone, the 20 people did. Everyone's experience was different. Some people saw like a big screen and their life on the screen. Every time I've had a past life regression, I've always looked down at my feet and I've seen my body. And then I look at my body, what I'm wearing, and then it goes to the outer world. And so what is that? Where's my surroundings? So and then the feelings start coming, like how close I'm with my family and my loved ones and my children, and if I had children. So what was so interesting about being born into this lifetime, which is another form of past life regression, but you're in the ethers, you're in the in-between worlds, okay? And so apparently when my mom was ready to have me, it was kind of an induced labor because I didn't want to come out. And I know I didn't want to come out. And so when I was with Helen Wambach and she's asking us, well, how does it feel? What does it feel like in the womb and everything? I could literally see my soul from up above. And even though I knew that part of my soul was in my body, it hadn't integrated 100%. So the feelings were, I'm not ready. I don't need to come back. I've already done this. You know, this is my first rodeo. And I didn't want to come. Okay. And in that in-between worlds was so calm and safe. And it was like one foot was in the afterlife and one foot was stepping into this life with a very sense of calmness. It was so surreal. But I didn't want to come. So my mom was induced and I got pushed out really quickly and slammed out. And I remember seeing the lights and feeling the coldness and going, oh my God, I'm starting this whole thing all over again. I guess I didn't learn my lessons. And that's when we come back, is to learn our lessons and to have our souls evolve and karma and experience new things, because there's only certain things that we can experience on a soul level, and everything else is through a body. And then when we go into the other side after we pass away, we let go of any negativity, any hurt and shame or lack or unworthiness melts away to just pure love. And so when I channel so many of these loved ones that have come through the other side. They have so many loving messages, and the things that they used to care about, they don't care anymore about. It's not a big deal. It's only unconditional love on the other side. I hope I'm making sense. Okay. So I want to talk about this, and then we're going to pull some cards and we're going to answer some questions. So it's interesting because we meet people in our life and we're instantly, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known you forever. You're going to be my BFF forever, or my lover forever, or my husband, or my child, or my spouse, my wife. So we recognize people because we travel in packs. So we travel in soul groups, and soul groups are families. I mean, I've talked about this. We pick our family. We sign this, Akashic record document that says we're going to do this lifetime with these people because we're going to learn all this stuff, and we're not going to like it, and we're not going to, it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to sign up for it anyway because this is what my soul growth needs. And we're like, what the hell happened? Anyway, I want to talk about recognizing people like I recognized my first love from my past life, which was in the 1800s, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. It was the late 1800s. So I was mid 1800s. So I wasn't gone very long to come back into this life. That's why that ether part was so like, I feel like I was just here. I don't really need to come back, but I had to. And I know I've mentioned to you before about my beautiful great grandma, Sophie, who was my mom's grandmother. And I adored her. And she passed away when I was 8 years old. And we didn't have a service for her. And I mentioned this before. On the same weekend that she passed away, my dad's father passed away. So it was a really big loss for both our families. My dad's father had the huge, black limo funeral and everything. And for Mama Sophie, I only recently found out about this, that the kids weren't allowed to go. I mean, really? And I adored her. So I didn't have any closure with my Mama Sophie. And so anyway, when I was 8 years old, she passed. I didn't have any closure, but she came to me as a big S. And I've said this before, as a swoosh in my soul between my chest and my back for years. And when I'd feel that swoosh, which was like 4 or 5 times a year or more, I knew that my Mama Sophie was there and I was protected. Fast forward, I have a baby, and I knew that I was going to have a girl, and I wanted to name her Sophie. But my husband at the time, my ex-husband, said, how about Lena? And I said, no. And he said, how about Selena? And I said, okay. So we tell my parents that I'm going to have a girl. I just know I'm going to have a girl. And I was only 6 weeks pregnant. I'm telling my parents I'm having a girl. And so we said, we're going to name her Selena. My mom was like, wow, starts crying. I said, I wanted to name her Sophie, and I explained it. And my mom said, well, did you know Mama Sophie's last name was Celine? And I said, no, I only know her married name. I had no idea her birth certificate name was Celine. So that was very interesting. So I have the baby, beautiful, gorgeous baby, super easy, big baby, slept through the night, was so happy and easy and just beautiful. She was like, I would get stopped all the time because she was, and I'm not saying it because she was mine, but because she was such a gorgeous baby with these huge blue eyes and dark curly hair and the way she'd sit in her stroller. I mean, she just was. She was an old soul and just a stunning, gorgeous baby, and is still a stunning, gorgeous, young, beautiful woman. Anyway, my mom and dad came over, and unfortunately, my mom only knew my daughter till she was 16 months old. My mom's been gone all that time. So my parents come over one day. My mom's like, let's go see the baby. I'm like, okay, of course. So we go and see the baby, and the baby is 6 weeks old, laying on her side like this. And the way her blanket was and her expression, everything, we both look in the crib and we're like, oh my gosh, who does that look like? My mom said, oh my God, it looks just like Mom Sophie. And I was like, It looks exactly like Mama Sophie. And so we were kind of blown away. And I'm so glad that my mom got to witness that, because as it turns out, Selena, we went to this fair, a psychic fair, my mom and I. And Selena was about 6 or 8 months old, and she's sitting in the stroller like this, and looking at everybody, and can't just looking and absorbing, and and so this really cool gypsy type, like tarot card, cool hippie, incense burning hobo person like me, boho, just awesome lady, just walks right up to us and says, that baby of yours is not only gorgeous, she's an old soul. I have a comment here. We lost internet. Are we back on? I think we're back on. Are we back on internet? Are we back on? We're good? Okay, cool. Sorry, I hope you guys didn't lose all that. Anyway, so once Selena, so when my Selena, who's named after Sophie, was about 2, she had all this recall. So she had her baby stroller and her purple plastic purse and this other thing, diaper bag, baby. And she was pushing her little dress on the, I'll never forget this. This was the first time. And so this is the reason I'm saying this to you. It's about reincarnation recall with someone that I shared a life with in my lifetime who came back to me. So Selena has her things and she's pushing her baby around the kitchen. And then she just stops. And I know I've shared this. And she just says, Mama. She always called me Mama, which I thought was interesting. Mama, when you were a little girl, I used to push you just like this. And I was like, my face dropped, because I knew she looked just like Mama Sophie. And by the way, that swoosh after I had my baby, I've never ever felt it again, ever, not once. So I looked at my daughter and I said, what? And she said, yeah, Mama, when you were a little girl, I used to push you just like this. And then she had about 6 months or so of past life regression recall, which she remembered being my great grandma, driving in her car with my grandma, taking me to this fabulous candy store that's no longer called Blum's, and getting these certain mint candies that were pastels. I mean, it was incredible. And then she'd say, and when you were a little girl, you didn't eat tomatoes. When you were a little girl, you didn't eat broccoli. And I'm like, you're right. I did not eat tomatoes. I did not eat broccoli. And it was so interesting, because when she was littler, she was so organized, and she was so would put her shoes all together properly. And I'm dyslexic, so I would notice if she was going to put her shoes backwards, and she would do the puzzle pieces amazing. And it was just so interesting. She's definitely my great grandmother. She looks like her, and she's my beautiful daughter now. So that's what can happen. And I think, because I'll probably cry, I was madly in love with my great grandma. There was just something so special about her. I only had 8 years with her, but the soul was so fulfilled. And I think that we didn't finish our connection, and she wanted to come back. Only she decided, how am I going to come back? I'm going to come back as her daughter. And it hasn't always been easy. It's been challenging. At times, it's been so much love, because my daughter thinks she's my mother and my grandmother sometimes. It's a soulmate connection. And I'm so grateful. Hi, Selena. My daughter's here, Selena Silverman. Thank you, Selena, for giving me the best days of my life. Anyway, any questions? Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are in the world. I have some notes here. I want to know what your aha moment has been. You know what's so interesting too? Every past life regression that you do or have, there's a lesson in it. You know that? There is a lesson and a message, and usually it's about love and unconditional love. I remember just had a past life regression a few months back. I'm going to share this. It was absolutely the most loving, beautiful past life regression I've ever had. It's not a dream. They're not dreams like when you're conscious and then you go and relax and you breathe. They're not dreams. They are experiences of recall. Otherwise, how you can imagine and you can dream and you can, but the way it flows in literally through your eyes like a movie, you can't make that shit up. I mean, I just have never had a dream where it was just like a movie and there wasn't any blips. Have you just had dreams where it's just like so flowy and there's like, for me, dreams can be very choppy and kind of weird. Past life regressions are very in flow and very from whatever age you tap into till when you pass away, a flow. So the last past life that I experienced a few months ago, regression, was I was a Polynesian girl in the islands, and I was little, and I had two siblings, and I flashed in around 5 or 6 years old on the beach. I was surrounded by all these shells, and the sky was so blue, and the water was so gorgeous, and my skin was so beautiful and brown, and I had black hair. And my father in this lifetime had a canoe. So I flashed in, I'm at the beach. I have all these shells. I'm making necklaces and anklets. And I'm so happy there's a breeze. And I look at the ocean and my dad at the beach, and my dad had just pulled up in this handmade canoe and had all these fish in it. And he was so handsome and so lovely, and everyone loved him and flocked to him. And I had two little brothers. And then it showed where I went to our home, our family home. And our family home was right with the ocean view of the beach. And it had tall stilts and all this palms and open air and just gorgeous wood and a couple stories. And the thing about the house, that it was just filled with so much love. My parents and my little brothers, this was like a container of absolutely unconditional love. And I lived that life to be, quite old and had children. And that same tight-knit, unconditional love and fully accepted family and no judgment carried on for generations in that lifetime. It was really, really beautiful to experience. And I didn't want it to end because my mom, the other thing that was interesting too in this lifetime, and I think it was, I don't know the dates, but I was definitely Polynesian and so much love. What was so incredible, I remember, was that the mutual respect from my parents at the time to their children and the siblings to the grandparents and to everyone, be who you're meant to be, live this life as you wish within parameters, was so beautiful that I didn't want to come out of that lifetime. Plus I was at the beach, which is my favorite place, and I was making puka shell necklaces, and my dad was a fisherman, and we didn't want for anything, and we had everything because the house was filled with so much love. It was really beautiful. So if you've never had a past life regression, I recommend going to someone who's really good. I don't do them. And checking it out, because there are oftentimes people have phobias, or I can't cross the street, I can't drive on the freeway, I can't do this, I can't do that, from past lives. Like even pain, even birthmarks come back from reincarnation and past lives. So it's very interesting to explore that if you so choose to. Any questions, comments, any WTFs? I'm so grateful that I do have my daughter is my great grandma back. One of my regressions, I recall running my hands against the castle wall made of rock. It was I was in Scotland. Wow, that's cool. Hello, can I please get a reading? Do I ask a question? New to this live, how are you? Oh, I'm not doing them right now, but we will in a minute. Any comments or questions? I think we need to probably take a break. Todd, you need to take a minute. I'm asking my producer. Thank you for being with me. Okay, we'll be back in a minute, everybody. Thank you so much. And if you have a question, we're going to pull a couple cards. Tell me about your recall, and I'll see you on the flip side in a minute. So hang in there with me. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Hope got some to drink or whatever you needed in the 30 seconds or whatever. It goes so quick. Any questions or comments? I'm going to pull an oracle card for all of us. Diane, I'm not doing full-on readings right now, but if you want a reading, please go to spiritualtalking.com. Maybe Selena can put it in the text or, in the box there. Somebody, spiritualtalking.com for a private session with me on Zoom. If you don't know about me, you can go to Spiritual Talking and learn about who I am. I've been a medium since I was little, been out of the spiritual closet since 2015, and channeled about 1,100 souls, traveled and worked with world-renowned mediums, and that brought me where I am today. And the card that I pulled for myself earlier was exchanging gifts, which is so appropriate. So, I'm going to pull an oracle card for all of us. How about that? Anybody would like an oracle as a collective? Dan, I'm not reading right now. If I got a hit, a download for you, I would say, oh yeah, I feel something, but I'm not at the moment. Some weeks it's a lot of mediumship, but tonight I just wanted to really stay on the topic of past life regression and reincarnation. Has anyone had that experience before? Gina has. Anybody just share if you've been somewhere, the déjà vu, the person, the soulmate, the person you really are attracted to or totally repelled by. That's like a soulmate, the twin flame. Anybody want to share? I'm not proud. I put my lip gloss on. No one's got to share. Okay. No, not that I can recall. Okay. Well, I guarantee you that you've had a past life before, probably more than one, probably about 10 or more. And some are more intense than others. Some are more tragic than others. And I loved the last past life that I had, that I shared with you, being Polynesian, being on the beach, and having the absolute amazing respect and completely honored by my family. And it was the same vibe throughout my family. I knew my first husband wasn't my soulmate. LOL. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to pull from the wisdom of the oracle. What's the energy for all of us right now as a collective? How about that? Hi. I'm on TikTok live too. So I'm going to pull up for all of us. What do we need to know for our highest good right now? I love this deck. I've been working with Colette Baron-Reid for like 6 years. I've taken some very intensive classes with her, and I have all her decks, and I love this deck. This is the deck that she teaches with. What do we need to know for our highest good? And then I'll pull one from our new deck, which is awesome for all of us right now. Interesting. Community and protection. Well, you can't make this up because right now we're in a community. 2 or more gathered together creates community, right? So we're having our own little community. It's card number 8. It came out of protection. So I'm going to read the meaning, even though I know the cards. You don't. So I'm going to read the reverse protection, which is just a little extra push from the universe. So what does this card mean about community? Beware of compromising your integrity in order to belong. How do you dim your light or change yourself so others will accept you in the group? Do you hide who you really are in order to play a role within the larger whole? This will never fulfill you. Now is the time to assess your willingness to be real. Stand tall and be you. Authenticity is true self-expression and the only way to empower yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself and step into the role your heart tells you to take. Making yourself small is way too high of a price. Whoa. Okay. This is me. I'm sure this is some of you. I cannot ever be small. Whenever I come and do my podcast, I always have to take a few deep breaths. I get a little nervous before, but I have to say who I am. I'm not just Lisa, the mom, the grandma, the interior designer. I am a psychic medium, and I stand tall and I'm shining bright. And we're all meant to do that. Don't dim your light for anybody. Okay. The price is way too high. And I dimmed my light for a long time. When I became who I am, and who I'm going to keep becoming, some of people around me couldn't handle it. They can't handle it. So I've lost people because I'm too bright for them, or they think it's too woo-woo or whatever, or I'm different. Even some of my lifelong friends have said, wow, I didn't really know that about you, because I've been out of the spiritual closet since 2015 or so. And I'm like, really? I thought this was kind of normal. I thought being a medium and, talking to animals and hearing animals and talking to people that have passed over, family members, was normal. Like, you can't do that. So that's, anybody resonate with this? Who's not going to dim their light anymore? No more dimming your light for other people. Yes, as a collective, a community, let's make an agreement that someone on TikTok said, I'm currently leaving a job because of all this. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that that's happening to you, but you cannot dim your light no matter what. If people don't like who you be, it's really them, I've had this a lot. Like one of my girlfriends, she shall not be named. We've talked about this. In the spiritual world, I'm just going to be myself. And if I being me makes you feel threatened or feel small or feel inadequate or whatever, that's on you, because I pretty much come to the table in neutrality. And that's for all of us, So we are going to shine our light and bring our gifts to the world, because we need it. We need more kindness. Shine bright, everyone. Exactly, Taylor. I feel that, Courtney says. Can you recall a moment? And what does it mean to dim your light, to stay small? For me, it means when you said yes and you meant to say no. that's not going to work for me. And you did it anyway. And then you did it. And then after you were resentful. And then you're like pissed at the person because you did it, because you dim your light. You didn't say, no, that's not going to work for me. Or you didn't hold your boundary, or you don't let your full self be expressed because you're afraid that other people are going to be like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm going to shine. If I'm in the shiny mood, I'm going to shine. If I'm not, I'm not. But I'm showing up authentic. Can we just say that? Let's just show up authentic. And if people don't like it, oh well. People speaking up for what you believe. Yeah. I own my weird. I'm unique and I'm a badass. Exactly, Angela. Feel the same way. Yes. I mean, it's funny because I don't think I'm really weird. Okay. I think I'm funny as hell. I have a wicked sense of humor. I think I'm compassionate. I think can be stubborn. I'm particular. I'm a Virgo, so I like all things beautiful. I like things kind of neat, but I'm not anal where I have to have everything. I'm not that A-type personality. Nothing wrong with that, but that's just not me. Like, not every single drawer in my house is immaculate, like the stereotypical Virgo. But I do like all things beautiful. I'm always for the underdog. I want people to be who they are, it doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't have prejudices on sexuality, color, whatever, religion. And I don't think I'm really that weird, but people think I'm weird because I talk to dead people. Okay, so that's my weird thing. I'm very intuitive, and I knew I was different, but I never thought I was weird. But I think we all have a weirdness, and that's part of our quirkiness, and I love it. So I'm weird too. Yay, Virgo here too. Yeah, it's so important now to shine and share light. We be woke and love, and haters can just go away. Exactly. And this person knows my life and the energy. And what happens is when people don't love who they be, they're going to project onto you. I'm the 15th, September 15th. I've asked there's Virgos in the house, so and I'm not going to make excuses either. So we're all a little weird. And I do talk to people that have passed over. So I'm getting a download here, actually. You never know what happens in here. Oh, Angela, right on the 19th. Weird is good. Weird's very good. I mean, okay, vanilla's okay, right? Like, we go to 31 flavors when I was little, and there's 31 freaking flavors, right? And my mom would get vanilla. I'm like, vanilla? Who gets vanilla at 31 flavors? I got mint chip, Jamaica almond fudge, whatever. She get vanilla. I'm like, that is so boring, right? Who wants to just have vanilla? I mean, vanilla on its own is boring. When you mix it with something else, it's great. I like vanilla too, but there's a lot of other things. Vanilla is like the baseline. You know what I mean? To me. Oh gosh, seriously? That's what happens when you do live. And let the phones begin. That means truth be told. I don't know who it is. They're unavailable. I'm going to mute this for a second. Just give me 1 second. Oh, that's funny. My daughter always ordered a vanilla shake. Yeah, it's like, if it ain't chocolate or something else, to me, or strawberry. Oh, I could never do a strawberry milkshake. Anyway, I'm getting something related. I don't know who. I don't know who this person is for. Raven. Raven. Raven, are you still here? Let me see what I have. I feel like there is male energy around Raven. I love that name. Is that your real name, Raven? Raven. Thank you for being with me. Raven, did you lose a father figure? I love that name. I always wanted to be a bird. After I read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, I always wanted to be a bird. I love birds. Okay. Did you lose a father figure or grandfather figure? I have male energy around you with gray hair, facial hair, and tall and slim. Who would that be? Would that be related to you, Raven? I didn't know mediumship was going to happen tonight, but I'm always open. So I need a yes or no, Raven. Grandfather, but it doesn't matter. Did he have gray hair and facial hair? She said, grandfather, but I didn't know him. Is this on your father's side? I'm hearing dad's dad. Probably yes. Thank you. Dad's dad. She said yes. Probably yes. Gray hair. Tall. Was he tall? And so he died when your dad was very young. Would that make sense? Dad's dad. I'm writing this down. Dad's dad. Oh. Your dad was relatively young, okay? Your grandpa is saying that your dad was relatively young. Does your dad have two siblings, Raven? I mean, sometimes it's just a random message saying that you never knew him in this lifetime, but he's known you before. That's that reincarnation, that soul connection. Does your dad have two siblings, please? I'm waiting for her answer. One brother. I saw the boys, but they might have lost a baby, maybe. I don't know. He said there's three children. So, okay, is your uncle and your dad still living? This is my pendulum. This is how it works. Show me which way is yes. Show me which way is no. My dad. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because your grandfather was saying he's with one of his children. Okay. Can you make sure that you tell your dad that his father came through? Find out what age, because your dad was relatively young when he died. He's with his brother. Okay. And I don't know who the Gary or the Gary or the G, George, who would that be related to you, Raven? We only have a minute or two. Do you know a Gary or a George? Does that make any sense? A strong G name? Gregory, Jean. Thank you. Who's the Jean, please? See, I wrote Gary. I wrote the G over here. This is the Gary brother, I think. Okay, yeah. He's with the strong G name too. Okay. There you go. So thank you, Raven, for being here. Make sure you talk to your dad and let him know his dad and brother came through. I'm not getting his brother's name, but that's it. They come in so random, right? Because I felt this male energy, tall, gray hair, skinny. Okay, any questions or comments before we wrap up? And I'm so grateful you're here. Oh, I wanted to pull one more card from the Dreamweavers. Colette's new deck, the Dreamweavers Oracle. What do I need to know? Give me a question. Someone throw out a question. Let's do this. Someone throw out a question. Let's see. Come on, throw a question in the comment real quick, and I'm going to ask it for the collective, which we got community. So we're going to raise our freak flag fly. We're not going to dim my light. What's our next direction in life? Okay. What's our next right action? How about that? For all of us as a collective, what do we need to know for our next right action? That's the question. our next right action is when the coyote calls your name. Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful card. This is a brand new deck that I'm just learning, but I love this. This is so perfect. It's card number 3. When the coyote calls your name, let's find out. When the coyote calls your name, divine detours, the value of not getting what you think you want, discovering greater treasure when you're forced to change course. It's asking you to take action. Sometimes you find yourself confused about your direction. Okay, who said direction? Can't make this shit up. You might have been so sure that you were meant for this situation, this love, this job, or this thing, yet you're forced to walk away. All the signs have been pointing to the potential magic and fulfillment, but something now has changed and not turning out the way you expected or wanted. When Cody calls your name, you're being given a great gift. The apparent loss, detour, change of course has been set in motion to give you what you truly need. The dream weavers know the truth in your heart. They know the perfect reflections of your greatest dreams are already available to you and weaved into the fabric of your life, just waiting for you to discover those gifts and make those dreams come true. In this moment, it's important for you to surrender your expectations and trust in the divine timing and form. When the coyote calls your name, you will know this way is the best way for you after all. Your life is woven, true, and the new threads of your experiences sparkle. There really was no loss or disappointment at all, only a new meaningful adventure and a beautiful story to tell. I love that. Whatever meant to be will not pass you by. Okay. Don't have any expectations or be attached to the outcomes, and know that these things that you think are detours or heartache or whatever is bringing you to the next right action. So that's the direction of all of our lives. And that's a card to take in this moment in time. I hope that resonates with all of you. We're out of time. I want to thank you so much for being with me. I will see you next week, hopefully. And if you want to listen to the replay, it'll be downloaded soon wherever you get your podcasts. Go to spiritualtalking.com and WLTKB Radio. And thank you all so much. Have a beautiful evening. I so appreciate this time. Think about the reincarnation and how that happens in your life. Okay? Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTKDB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.